What's up, you fools? Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel, and I don't know if you watched the live stream, but the semi-final allocation draw has been completed, so it has been decided which country is going to perform in what semi, and whether they're going to perform in the first half of that respective semi or the second half. As always, it was a random draw. They were allocated all of the countries in specific pots where they have voting patterns to vote for each other. That's basically the point, so that they were spread out amongst those two semifinals to make it as fair and even as possible. Let's take a look at the results and see if there are any countries that lucked out or if it seems fair overall, shall we? So as you can see here, the results of the first semifinal allocation, and on the left side are the countries that are going to perform in the first half, and those countries are North Macedonia, Belarus, Lithuania, Sweden, Slovenia, Australia, Ireland, and Russia. Therefore, in the second half of the first semi-final, we have Norway, Cyprus, Croatia, Azerbaijan, Malta, Israel, Ukraine, Romania, and Belgium. So let's go ahead and take a look at the second semifinal as well, real quick, before we dive into the actual analysis, if you will. Semifinal 2, first half, we got Austria, Moldova, Poland, San Marino, Serbia, Iceland, Czech Republic, Greece, and Estonia. Therefore, in the second half, Denmark, Bulgaria, Switzerland, Finland, Armenia, Latvia, Georgia, Portugal, and Albania. The only country that has already selected the singer and the song. Now, as you can see, there is one extra country in the second semifinal because we're going to have 18 participants in the second semifinal compared to 17 in the first. So it's slightly more difficult to qualify from the second semifinal, but anything's possible. Also, just real quick, and on top of the semifinalists that were allocated, the direct qualifiers, the Big Five and host nation Netherlands, who will already perform in the grand final, have already also been allocated, because even though they're not taking part in any of the semis, they get to vote in one of these semis. So, the results are in. Italy, Germany, and the Netherlands are going to vote in the first semi, while then obviously the United Kingdom, France, and Spain will vote in the second semi-final. So let's take that into consideration when we look at the allocation. Now, everything I'm saying here is mostly just based on paper, because we don't know most of the songs except for Albania, right? So that'll all change. But looking at voting patterns and prior success rate at Eurovision, we can take a few things into consideration when looking at these information. And the first thing that really jumps out to me, boy, semifinal 1 is tough, because all the big ones, or most of them at least, are in the first semifinal. And by that I mean the countries that have a great success rate at Eurovision. So all the other countries may start to worry, because are there guaranteed qualifiers? Let's take a look at that. I'm talking about Sweden. Sweden always is a big player. Russia, I mean, come on, Russia always up there at the top. Australia, don't forget about Australia. They always qualify ever since they debuted in 2015. Norway, a very strong player in Eurovision, and I'm expecting that to continue. Ukraine, they never ever failed to qualify from the semis, and why stop now? So, and there are some other countries that have, as of late, a pretty good success rate when it comes to qualification. Cyprus comes to mind. Israel is right there. So, it is definitely, looking at it this way, a tough semifinal for some of the less obvious qualifiers, like Slovenia, North Macedonia, Ireland, Malta. So, but we don't know the songs yet. This is really just based on their history at the contest. Because when you look at the second semifinal, even though there are a lot of successful countries in there, they haven't had necessarily, they weren't considered the biggest threats for Eurovision. Yeah, some of them had good results in the recent past, like Switzerland last year did really, really well. Austria, with the exception of last year, has had a good track record. But for the most part, these countries are just hit or miss when it comes to qualification or top 10 results. So I feel as this, again, this is just on paper. This is just a little bit more of a wild card semi, which to me is a lot of fun. Another interesting observation to me is there are a lot of notorious duos, for better or worse actually, that have been split up this year. So it seems very balanced. To give you some examples, Moldova and Romania almost always giving each other 12 points, performing in different semis. Cyprus and Greece, almost always giving each other 12 points in different semis. Ukraine and Poland, very friendly to one another, different semis. North Macedonia and Albania, again, often vote for each other, now in different semis. And then on the other hand, Azerbaijan and Armenia, who never vote for each other, they're also in different semis. So as you can see, the draw has been fairly reasonable. I mean, it is somewhat expected because there's a reason why we have these pots, but it's just the way it fell in this particular draw. It really, really came out right, I guess. That's the best way to describe it. Well, let's take a look at the countries where I see that they had a good draw, meaning they ended up with a bunch of countries that tend to vote for them historically. And one of them, the first comes to mind, but that is almost always the case, is Russia. Russia has already a good amount of support in this semi. They have Belarus, they have Azerbaijan, they have Lithuania, and Israel often votes for them as well. Ukraine, they will get 0 points from the juries, but there'll always be a few points from the televoters as well, so they at least can expect something from there. So overall, this is a pretty good setup for Russia, even though then the first half, keep in mind, first and second half are not as significant in the semis as they are in the grand final, because number one, there are less countries to perform and battle it out, and number two, all you need to do is be in the first or in the top 10. You don't have to win. So that is not something you should worry about too much. A couple of other countries I think have a decent draw are Portugal in the second semifinal. Portugal naturally doesn't have a whole lot of support or a head start in diaspora or friendly voting. The countries that they can usually count on for some help are Spain and France, two big five countries, and both countries will vote in the second semifinal, so this can only help Portugal. I think Estonia has a good draw as well, having Latvia in the semi with them, as well as Finland, two very friendly countries for them. And again, two countries will not be enough to get you over the finish line, but it's always nice to have a good head start. And of course, Poland is not in the worst spot. Yes, they don't have Ireland, they don't have Ukraine, but they do have Czech Republic. The United Kingdom is voting in the second semi as well. They can maybe expect a few points from us, the other Eastern European countries that we have on that list here. So Austria, overall, not the worst case scenario for Poland, especially in this very, very wild card open semifinals. So maybe we'll see them back. I know we don't know the song, I keep repeating myself. Countries I feel a little bad for are, for instance, Romania in the first semifinal. Not that much head start there with friendly votes per se, and it's in a very tough semi. So that is not necessarily the best setup for them, and especially after two non-qualifications in a row, I was hoping for a little bit more of a favorable outcome, but nothing's over until the fat lady sings, right? Same kind of goes for Ireland. I wouldn't call this like the best case scenario for them, but let's see, because we don't know the song just yet. But yeah, man, the first semifinal is tough. This is going to be, there will be some casualties there for sure. I mean, there are always casualties because there are always non-qualifiers, but this is definitely a This is going to be the Semi 2 watch. The fun part about Semi 2, that one is wide open. Very wide open. If you just look at the list, I wouldn't be able to tell you who is a guaranteed qualifier. Because I feel as the draw was very balanced and all of the countries in that running have, you know, mixed to good, mixed to bad results. There's no clear qualifier here. That's the point I'm trying to make. And that is going to make for a fun show. And I know some people will say, Matt, it's all about the song. Why are you doing this? We live in the real world. We all know that there are voting patterns. It'll not go away. But I do believe that the best songs will qualify. So yeah, this is the draw of the allocation. Once again, we don't know in what order they're going to be. That's going to be decided after all songs are known, probably sometime mid to late March, but that's subject to change as well. So, but at least we have something to look forward to as the songs are coming in. How do you feel about the running order? Are you happy? Are you sad? Or are you just whatever? I don't care anyway. Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good whatever.